inclusion, and business systems integration. Beyond Compliance, a challenging, interactive program for business leaders and internal diversity managers, begins with an increasing personal awareness and trust. Let's now join Linda Russell Callecod in an existing workshop.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you very, very much for that comment. There is, in fact, a huge difference between valuing and appreciating our diversity and simply tolerating our differences. In fact, this is going to segue very well into an exercise that we're going to do a little bit later, in which we identify those subtleties and talk about how it affects the organization as a whole and the workplace environment specifically. Now let's go back for a moment to our awareness model. As you remember, awareness leads to options, and from options we're able to make knowledgeable choices. And it is essential that we are personally aware of our biases, our blind spots, and our behavioral programming. Now, how many of you know that this programming takes place in early childhood? Oh, yeah. I remember when I was a little girl, we'd be playing and having fun with our friends and telling a few lies, and Mom would walk in. Ding. What? We're not doing anything wrong, but the fact that she walked in and we were in the act of doing something, our behavior immediately changed. It's interesting how that works. My grandchildren do exactly the same thing. But let's look at another example that's going to bring us a little closer to home. I want you to think about a science fiction movie, any movie that you've ever seen in science fiction, and you tell me what happens when human beings come face to face and smack against anything that is unknown, unfamiliar, and ugly. What is it we do? We... Yes, absolutely. Ah! First we scare it to death. Then we destroy it, kill it. Then we dissect it in order, of course, to better understand it. And then once we have pulled this thing apart, we realize that we have more in common than we had in differences. Oh. So let's talk about how we're going to work through those program behaviors and in turn create trust, respect, and a sense of individual value in the organization and in our work team as a whole. You with me? Now. You can have your seat. Was that great teamwork or what? All right. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Good job. And you know what? Thank you for being willing to play. That is more difficult than I ever imagined from adults. And I guess maybe because I still feel like a kid. But being willing to play is something that somehow or another doesn't fit into the corporate mentality. Now remember, we've got two aspects of an effective team. The first, just like a yin and yang, is task, and the other is relationship. Now with competent people, halfway decent structure and some source of communication, you can eventually figure out how to get the task done. But you know what really trips us up? The people part, the relationship part. Not everybody is comfortable and has learned to play well in the sandbox. And we pull everybody together and call them team because they show up in the same place and at the same time. Not necessarily so. In fact, I was working with a very large advertising group, and just like all of you, they filled out a pre-workshop assessment that will give me an idea of what some of the areas are that the group needs to work on. Better use of their dollar and best of their time. But I had one woman who called me who was really concerned and had a lot of anxiety over this workshop. Linda, Linda, can I talk to you about this? Oh, absolutely. How can I help you? You're not going to have us, like, touch each other, are you? Well, not necessarily, but I'm curious. Why do you ask? Well, I've done these team building things before, and I didn't want to do anything stupid like open up. or have to say anything that will allow people to get to know me. Anybody see a problem with this picture? Anybody wanted to call me and ask me the same thing to make sure you didn't have to touch each other today? So I thought, what we're going to do, though, is we're going to look at that people side first, since that is usually the source of our pain.